Today's show is brought to you by Audible, and right now you can get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/joined-up. There's over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle or MP3 player. Thanks for tuning in to the Joined Up Writing Podcast, a weekly show featuring interviews with fantastic authors sharing their personal stories on how and why they write. There's hints and tips for aspiring writers and great book reviews from top bloggers. Follow us on Twitter at JU Podcast. Right, cue the cheesy theme tune.
Put down your pen and stop your typing. Grab yourself a drink, 'cause it's Joined Up Writing. The Epilogue.
Yes, it's the Epilogue, our bonus in-between episodes that are little quick listens containing an extra question or topic not covered in the original interview. This week it's a follow-up with alt history writer Tony Schumacher talking about why authors need to get their head around PR and marketing. If you missed it, you can find his full interview over at joinedupwriting.co.uk, or even better, subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify or wherever else you want to get your podcasts from, and you'll get a new podcast downloaded automatically every week. After more than 3 years, we've now got a pretty big archive of interviews, 2-minute tips, epilogues and writing chats for you to enjoy, so you can go over to joinedupwriting.co.uk and it's all completely free. Before we hear from Tony, I just wanted to give a few shout outs and mentions to some people who continue to support the show by sharing and commenting on social media. People like TW Ian, Ingrid Senger-Perkin, Nikki O'Shea, Daniel Rebo, the Britlit podcast, which you really should check out, Harry Turtledove, Paul Clark, Maura Lynch, Edwin Downward, for confirming I'm not shouting into the void unless his little car counts as the void, and writing buddy Maria Smith. I really do appreciate everyone who tweets me or the show, so keep letting me know what you like and what you want to hear. I'd love to know where and when you listen to the show too, so feel free to tweet your picks. Alternatively, you could take 30 seconds to leave a quick iTunes rating and review, as that helps other people find the show and it means I can continue to attract brilliant guests and improve the content of the show. Right, on with that show now, where we talk to Tony Schumacher, who explains why he thinks PR and marketing are handy skills for any writer to have. Okay, Tony, thanks a million for staying around for the epilogue, our little bonus quick listens. For this, I just wanted to ask you, again, I know this is something you've mentioned before in other interviews, talked about, what it's like to be a new author, although I know you're like 2 or 3 books down the line now. But one of the things that you said that stuck out to me was you said how important it was to know, I think the way you described it was take a crash course in PR and marketing.
Oh, yeah.
So what did you mean by that? And just explain to us, like that was it a bit of a baptism of fire for you when you first became a published author, a novelist, if you like?
It really is. You know what? A lot of authors now basically a lot of first-time authors. I mean, let's get this straight for the kick-off point. I didn't have a clue what I was doing when I came into this. I literally did not have a clue. I was bumbling around, and it happened very quickly for me. I finished the book. And within probably, probably about 2 weeks, I had an agent. And then I had my agent and a book deal, and I was still getting rejections of all the people I'd sent the book out to, which is mad, you know. But I got my agent. Then within 2 weeks of that, I got the publishing deal from HarperCollins. And then within probably 6 months after that, the book was released. So it was really quite quick for me. Whereas a lot of authors, they'll almost... chapter 1 will start marketing that book. By the time they've typed chapter 1, they'll start marketing that book. And what you're doing is you're kind of rolling a ball down a hill, and you're picking up snow, and it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, this ball. And then by the time the book hits the floor, you've got a community of people who, one, who are waiting for it, but 2, who want to help you sell it. And that's a big thing, is reaching out to people to sell it. And I didn't do any of that. So I was suddenly thrust into HarperCollins, and people go, oh, well, you're lucky enough, you go with HarperCollins. The problem with HarperCollins was you go with these guys who are dealing with, I get this email of a brilliant girl called Lauren Jackson, who doesn't work for HarperCollins now. She's moved to a different publisher in New York, but she sent me this email and said, "Hi Tony, I'm your new PR. I'm going to handle all your PR." And I, honest to God, I sat there, I put my feet up, I lit a cigar, got myself a glass of brandy, and thought, I am now Billy Big Time. I went out and I got cards made with Billy Big Time written on them. Tony Schumacher author, Billy Big Time. And I was convinced that was me sorted. That's it. And I sold 2 million books and I'm laughing. What I didn't understand was she was also the PR for about 62 other writers, you know, and worked her socks off to get every one of those writers a great bit of, you know, attention when their book come out. But the minute that, you know, a week into it, probably even 2 weeks maybe, you're at a situation where they've moved on and you're suddenly on your own, and you know, you've got a very, very short period of time to cause a ripple with that book.
To capitalise on it, yeah.
I was so lucky because the Wall Street Journal picked mine up, and I got a great review in the Wall Street Journal, which does a massive amount of work for you because, you know, that newspaper drops into, like, you know, I think it's something like 38 million American inboxes, like, at the weekend. So, you know, you think, well, all right, I'm okay there, you know, that's done the work there. But, you know, by the time the next book comes round, everyone's forgot about you, and you've got to start. Unless you're a big name, or unless you're J.K. Rowling or you know, Dan Brown or something like that, everyone's forgot about you, and you have to start all over again. So if I was going to advise a writer who's, you know, in the situation that I was in starting out, be it with a big publisher or a small publisher, it is, you know, the minute I finish this sentence, you should start marketing your next book. It's that simple. You just should start it right now and just eat whatever you can give away, a snippet, a tidbit, get on Twitter, get Blogger, get WordPress, get just about everything, and set aside time every single day. And it's really hard. And give a little bit away of yourself when you do it, you know, not too much. I'm not saying,
your soul.
You know, don't put your soul in your inside like measurements, but you know, give a little bit away your process, give a little bit away what you're struggling with, what you're doing and stuff, and where you're up to with things, and the highs and the lows, and form. If you can't find a community of other writers and readers, form one and become part of that and maintain it, and don't use it. Be part of it, you know, and share and learn and share and stuff. I mean, 10 minutes ago, I retweeted a tweet from a writer called Nick Quantrill, who's a brilliant writer from the northeast of England. You know, I haven't seen Nick in 2 years, but I've retweeted a tweet about a book that he's written. You know, it's just that thing about being part of a community, and you know, it's so important. And also, don't fall into the habits that I do, which is I'll just keep doing the same things over and over because I'm too busy writing. You can never be too busy for marketing, because if you want to pay the bills with it, that's what's going to help you pay them.
So when you say they fall into the same things, what do you mean? What sort of things are you repeating?
Oh, I'll get lazy on Twitter, or I'll get lazy on Facebook, you know, and I'll just think, I'll just take a photo with it. In fact, I don't think I'll just take a photo with his dog. I'll just take a photo with his dog and stick it on Twitter and just think, oh, that's another 100,000 books sold, you know, and it isn't. It just isn't, you know. And the other thing is about, you know, someone will write something really nice on Twitter about your book, and you'll retweet it and go, you heard the man, go and buy the book. And yet you think, well, why would you? Because if I read that, I wouldn't do it. Do you know what I mean? So you've got to try and think creatively and try new things and enjoy it as well, because it's part of the job. But if you're not, you know, people say, I hate marketing, I'm not doing it. Well, that's great. Yeah, I made up for you. Maybe you ain't got to sell any books.
I think one of the biggest things that, and with social media, we've said this before, but it's the social bit that people forget.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because, and like you said, it can and it should be enjoyable. I mean, not necessarily all the marketing. I mean, I'm not a huge, you know, fan of it, like you say. But in terms of social media, it's like I really like Twitter. I'm not a big fan of Facebook. I'll be honest. Like this show's got a Facebook page, but I'm a bit lazy on that. I do the bare minimum. I basically just stick the show on there each week, and that's about it. But as regards Twitter, the thing about it is the social side of it. So it's having a conversation with somebody, or it's like you say, if you see that somebody else has got a book out or that you respect or that you've read or what, it's like sharing that or telling other people about it.
That's right. And enjoying it,
yeah.
enjoying their success as well, which is
Absolutely.
It's difficult, but enjoying their success. I'm always amazed when people say they don't like Twitter, because I think, well, how can you not like something that is completely different for everyone who's using it? If you don't like Twitter, you're using it wrong.
I agree, yeah.
People still think that it's about taking photos of your dinner and stuff. Well, that's Instagram, those days are gone, Twitter's an information source that can be whatever you want it to be. It can be factual, it can be funny, it can be anything you want it to be. And I really recommend it just for getting advice. If you want to be a writer, get some advice off it, and ask questions and, join groups and chat to people and stuff. I know what you're saying about Facebook, though, because it can swallow your life, Facebook, and you have got to be careful with that, definitely.
It is hard, but I can also recognise, especially for author pages and stuff like that, I think you definitely do need one. You kind of need a presence. But it's like all those, again, I've spoken to people about this before, and it's like, if you really do, you don't like it at all, you hate it, then don't bother with it, because you're probably not going to do it justice.
That's right.
I think if you're going to do it, you've got to do it, and you've got to spend... you've got to spend the time on there. I mean, I think a good example of the people that have kind of opened my eyes to it in the last few months since I started having book bloggers on the show. We started doing putting a review on each show. There'll be one on this one, Book Bloggers Corner. Yeah. And there's been two bloggers in particular that have kind of become regulars, Victoria and Catherine. But if I started looking at the book blogging community, and on the face of it, it's like you'd think, well, they're all kind of competing with each other, come to my blog and read my book reviews, but they look at it completely the other way around. They completely embrace the community of it, and they're all sharing each other's stuff. Oh, Victoria's done this blog about this review of this book, I've reviewed this book, but so-and-so's reviewed this and that. And I think more authors should be doing it. I think more musicians should be doing it as well. And speaking from experience from years ago when I used to be in bands and stuff, the mistake was always that people will only listen if people listen to someone else's band. They're not going to listen to my band. It doesn't work like that. All the best things in music have always been around a scene, and it's always been a handful of bands that have sprung up from the same place or from the same background or whatever, and they've created a scene and they've put themselves on the map. Literally, obviously, like from where you're from, there's Manchester. There's been the Britpop scene. There's been all sorts of different things, but it's when people sort of get together and do it. Yeah. If someone buys
community, that's the thing. It's made the world small. I mean, listen, I hate the internet. I'm convinced, like in 50 years' time, we're not going to look at it and go, "That was the worst thing. Switch it off." But at the same time, when it comes to the creative arts, it's been fantastic. It's been a great way for communities to form up, like you say, and share and stuff. And as long as there are some cynical dodgepots on there, like who use people and stuff, and I think we all know them, But at the end of the day, if you use it honestly and you are genuine in your sharing and enjoyment of conversation with other people, I can't see how it's a bad thing. I really can't. I think it's a great thing, and I thoroughly recommend it. And the other thing, coming back to books, get a mailing list. I know everyone says it, and I know it, and it's difficult to get it because I won't put my email address on a website, but figure it out. Get a mailing list. There's ways to do it, and that's so important because you want people waiting for that book.
Do you think if you hadn't, obviously, like you say, you had like a bit of a whirlwind thing, and your book was snapped up and ended up with a really big publisher. You think if that hadn't have panned out, would you, and like moving on, like from where you are now, would you ever considered like self-publishing or independently publishing?
Definitely. I think obviously it's like any kind of publishing, I suppose, that there's degrees of quality and stuff, and being a bit thick, I probably wouldn't have had the best edited book in the world, to be honest with you, had I done it. And I think I now know, actually, it's not even think, I now know that how incredibly important it is to have a well-edited book. But you see some of the success people have had self-publishing, some people are selling 100,000 books self-publishing. And I'm not talking about E.L. James, and that kind of
No, I know what you're saying, yeah.
But there are writers, and some really good writers, who have gone down that route, and you know what? Never say never, Touch wood, like I don't have to, and I stay on board with HarperCollins, but touch wood, I'd never rule it out. I see no shame in it because people are writing. And you know what? If 5 people buy that book, as long as you enjoyed writing it, and you're a better person for having done it, I can't see the problem.
A lot of we've had independently published authors and stuff on here. I mean, and this the reason I use that term rather than self-publishing is because there is a difference. I mean, there's a difference, like you say, me taking my first draft off Word and uploading it to the internet to these people that do make a success of it. They'll have paid for a professional editor to have a look over it. They'll have professional cover art and everything else. And there is a difference, but if you're doing all that legwork yourself anyway, like you say, a lot of the time for a lot of mid-list authors, because like you say, if you're not Stephen King or Lee Child or whatever, then you're not going to get that kind of budget and time spent on you.
Absolutely,
because they can't justify it.
That's right, as much as Stephen King and Lee Child do my editing, like at the end of the day, they're paying my mortgage, so you've got to just accept that that's the way it goes. But I'd never rule it out. So what I would say, it's a great point you make about getting like professional publishers. So somebody sent me a book. It was a friend of a friend who said, "Will you have a look at my mate's book?" He's written this book, and I never got past the cover. He'd photoshopped this 3-foot tall sparrow onto a gatepost, and stuff, and it was just awful. And
I've seen that. I thought,
why even, just don't even bother. If you can't be bothered taking time doing that right, what's the rest of the book gonna be like? And I didn't even bother reading it, And so if you're gonna do it properly. I'm a great proponent and just write a book, just sit down and knock out a book and write it and enjoy it. But at the same time, if you're going to give it to people to read, there should be a degree of quality control once it's written. And I think that's important. But as long as the quality is there in the production, and when I say production, I mean your own production, your own spell check and your own layout work. Well, then do it, just do it, go for it. You probably make more money than I will. Just mad.
Brilliant. All right, well, more great advice. I really appreciate it, and good luck with An Army of One, which people should go off and buy as soon as they start.
They really should go off and buy the book, honestly. No, even if they have done,
buy it again. You need 2 copies of it, really. Yeah, just in case something happens to the first one.
That's the one.
All right, brilliant. Thanks a million, Tony. Great to talk to you again.
Thanks, Wayne.
There you go, another great chat with Tony Schumacher, and I highly recommend his John Rossett alternate history series, starting with The Darkest Hour, which is available now and published by HarperCollins. Don't forget you can tweet the show at JU Podcast, leave us a comment at joinedupwriting.co.uk, and follow us on Facebook. Next week, I've got a fascinating interview with thriller author Marnie Riches, but that's it for this week. So thanks for listening. I'm Wayne Kelly, happy reading and writing, and I'll see you next time.
Joined up, right?